There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you? First on deck is hydrogen. It blows up super good. Next we have old helium. Makes your voice go higher than it should. Next our old friend lithium, whose batteries can explode. After that's beryllium, whose uses are unknown. But fifth of all the elements, favorite of Corbin Dallas, is lovely Lilu Multipass, who's utterly without malice. Or, well, hey, it rhymed. And so does this week's
impressive.
And so does this week's entry in our series, Remember, You Asked For It. Julie T. O'Malley's request was heard, and that's why we're taking on Luc Besson's science fiction mega film, The Fifth Element, this week. Don't ask for logic, I'm fresh out. Someone who isn't fresh out is Max. I got me a ton of logic right here. Levine, say something logical, Max.
Logic is a little bird singing in a field.
That smells
Logic
bad.
is a wreath of pretty flowers that smell bad.
And me, I'm just Mike, the boy who can't say no, loose. Actually, yeah, I can't say no. I just said it. But I can never say no to is your answers to our poll question. Last week, our question to you was, in animated films, would you rather hear the parts played by celebrities or trained voice actors? These were your answers. Dr. Rebecca Pelkey was first up with, quote, voice actors. Recognizing a celebrity voice takes me out of the story. Or, if I know the voice but can't place it, it becomes extremely distracting. That happened during Wicked when I spent way too much of the film trying to place the goat professor's voice, which I probably should have recognized immediately, end quote. I didn't have that problem. I just sit there going, wait, is that Peter Dinklage? Really?
Yeah.
That is a really interesting point, and I hadn't considered that, so thanks, Becca.
No, it's interesting.
Nick Hoffman offered, quote, always voice actors. Celebrities are mostly useless in animated films or cartoons, end quote. Well, thanks, Nick. I don't know if I always agree with you there, but thank you. Adam Mark, who always has something interesting to say, wrote, quote, entirely depends on the actor and the character. An example of amazing actor work in animation is Beauty and the Beast, 1991. Jerry Orbach, Angela Lansbury, David Ogden Stiers deeply enriched the film with their performances as a candelabra, teapot, and mantle clock, respectively. Robin Williams' Genie and Gilbert Gottfried's Iago in Aladdin is another prime example of actors shining in an animated role. But I admit, examples of actors succeeding in but not overwhelming the animated character they voice are few and far between, end quote. Oh, good points all around. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. And it's very kind of you to refer to David Ogden Stiers as a celebrity.
Well, and Jerry Orbach. I mean, I knew him from Murder, She Wrote. Like, that's the only thing I knew him
from Law and Order, I think.
Angela Lansbury, that's another story, but there you go.
Yeah.
Dave. Oh, wait. Actually did write an answer.
What fun.
Dave Mackman said, quote, as with anything, it's about the quality of the performance. With animation, I like a special voice. I enjoyed performances by Don Adams and Casey Kasem long before I knew these were celebrity voices. Really? Eddie Murphy did well in the first Shrek movie, but his presence wasn't a draw for me, nor were the others in that movie. Bobcat Goldthwait was great as the stuffed bunny in the sitcom he did.
Oh, God.
What was that? Do you know?
I can't even remember the name of it. It started as kind of a ripoff of Married with Children.
Oh.
But
Divorced with Stuffed Animals, maybe? I don't know.
No, the dad had a stuffed bunny as like an imaginary friend. Only he could hear it talk, and it was voiced by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Cash flow. That's right. That's a deeper. Anyway, back to Dave's entry. And right now, I'm enjoying Ted. Are those guys voice actors or celebrities? If Tom Waits did an animated film, I would probably watch it. These days, I'm not likely to know the supposed celebrity regardless, so I just enjoy. Would be interested to see Tom Hiddleston in animation if he ever got into voice acting. I have heard him do good voices, mostly imitations, on talk shows, end quote. Well, Max, you pointed out Tom Waits did do an animated film. Do you remember?
Kind of.
What did he do?
In Shrek, I believe it's the second Shrek, there's a villain bar. And there's a brief sequence of Captain Hook playing the piano and singing the Tom Waits song, A Little Touch of Poison, or Little Drop of Poison.
Huh.
And that's Tom Waits.
Oh. Yeah,
also,
kids love
probably
that
the best performance in the movie. But
still, those are interesting points, as always, Dave. And often bad impersonations make great original characters. So thanks, Dave. We'll actually be coming back to that later on in the trivia. Surprise.
Ooh.
Matt Reisman posted, quote, voice actors most of the time. There are some notable exceptions, like Robin Williams' Genie, but for the most part, voice actors are better at their craft. The exceptions tend to be the character actors in a lot of ways anyway. I don't need someone doing a Danny DeVito to play Phil when DeVito is available, but I also don't need a middling performance just because someone is a name. This isn't discounting celebrities who have become excellent voice actors, though, such as Mark Hamill, end quote. Those are some great takes. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, he's pulling out the big guns with Mark Hamill.
I'm going to go out on the edge here and say I actually prefer Mark Hamill as a voice actor than I do as a regular actor.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Lauren Buxbaum gave us, quote, for this one, I would go with celebrities and their take on characters. Of course, you have to remember that the last animated movie I saw was Frozen, and my daughter was in college and set up the stream for us. She graduated in 2017. My favorite animated movies are the Toy Story series and Ice Age. I loved Ray Romano and Queen Latifah. I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. I don't remember the voices in Toy Story. I liked the plots, the characters, and the world building, end quote. That fluffy thing, that's Gabriel Iglesias, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is, but I think that's also a line from one of the Ice Age movies.
Oh, well, I know Fluffy as Gabriel Iglesias, but
interesting
that she remembers the movies but not the voices.
That's a point, considering that there's a truckload of celebrity voices in the Toy Story movies.
Yes, I would say all of them. Up to and including Don Rickles, somebody I never thought I would see in a kid's film. But hey, I didn't think I'd see him in a Roger Corman film either, and I was proven wrong.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. Lastly, we have Vince, a man made entirely out of snow. It's true. He's from Canada.
Yeah, that's why he has to always wear that magical top hat.
Yeah. He wrote us, quote, overall, I think voice actors should do voice work. Some celebrities are also good voice actors, but mostly they are used for promotional reasons and not because of anything else. Leave the voice work to professionals who specialize in this very specialized field. Also, they had better be human voices. I have lost most of my work to AI over the last year, and voice actors are next or currently on that list, and it makes me ill, end quote. Yeah, they're very much on that list, and I'm very much with you, Vince.
Yeah. Yep, he's not wrong.
Thank you so much. Well, that seems to be it for answers. Well, Max, the phone's ringing. Could you get that? It's probably probably for you.
Hello.
Hello, Max Mike Movies. Hi, Max. This is Doris Impelmeyer calling to answer your question, which is about voice actors versus movie stars doing animated movies. I believe that it's the best person for the job, right? I mean, there are some people who just can't do that no matter how good an actor they are. And if you're just putting their person in there just for their name to make money on your movie, it's not going to work. You need to put the right people in there. There's many wonderful voice actors, like Max. So use those people, the best ones for the job. That's my answer. I look forward to hearing next week's episode. Bye.
And so it was. Well, thank you, Miss Empelmeyer, if that really is your name.
Is it me you're looking for?
No. But it seems she doesn't like studios just trying to trade on names either. So
that's fair.
Yeah. Thanks, Doris. How about you, Max? This was your question after all. What's your take?
Honestly, I got to kind of waffle a bit. There are times when celebrities can do a good job. People pointed out a bunch of them. I think the Toy Story movies are an excellent example. But I got to say, in general, let voice actors do the voice acting. Stay in your damn lane. You guys have enough money.
Yeah.
Movie actors, screen actors, whatever. Again, I don't think it's an absolute. I think if there are some that are just iconic. Robin Williams is the genie. I can't picture anyone else doing it.
Originally, it was supposed to be Jerry Orbach. No, it wasn't. Or Flip Wilson.
Originally, it was supposed to be Jerry Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, with the wishes, Mr. Latin thing there. Oh, Huygen.
Oh, some sand I ate. Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted to see that, and they didn't.
I don't think. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What about you? How do you feel about it?
This is a toughie. I have to probably waffle like you because, I think that nobody knew who Mel Blanc was when he started doing voices for Warner Brothers. He would eventually become a very well-used actor on radio, but even then, I don't know how well-known he was as a household name, and he certainly wasn't a film actor. And look at what he did. I personally think Mel Blanc, we've heard too much about Mel Blanc, partially because Mel Blanc wanted everyone to hear about Mel Blanc. But there was tons of other people like Dawes Butler and Don Messick who did multiple characters that were all very, very popular. And that's what they did, and they were very good at it. But the character actors like Robin Williams, again, the genie, I can't imagine, or even Gilbert Gottfried, which, to be fair, all he brought to that part was Gilbert Gottfried. But it worked. It was great.
It fit.
So, and as much as I would like to say no, I can't say that Tom Hanks did a bad job as Woody. I think he did a great job.
Yeah, and I think Tim Allen did a great job, too.
But I will also say, having an actor or a well-known film actor as a voice in your cartoon is not going to make me go see it. It doesn't matter. And I'm honestly willing to bet most people feel the same way. And you could lower your budgets by not using people that have giant A-list names because they cost a lot of money and we never actually see them. So, that's my take, because voices of people like Mickey Mouse, Woody Woodpecker, Scooby-Doo, Super Friends, Flintstones, most of them aren't big names. Nobody knows who they were. So, yeah it's the character that matters. And as Max said, film actors make enough money, so to them. But thanks again for your great answers. We appreciate them all. And again, if you wouldn't answer the poll on Facebook, because a lot of people are pulling out of that, where would you answer it? No, that's not this week's poll question. That's just in general. Let us know. This week, we want to know, what is your favorite science fiction film and why? Let us know, we'll let you know how to, We'll just tell you at the end of the show. I almost made a metaphor and it hurt. Instead, let's get to the
facts.
Budget. $90 million, which made this the most expensive European film ever made up till this point.
Well, wait, is that in European dollars?
It is, in fact, $90 million, or its equivalent at that point. Let's see, was it then the euro would have been there then. So, Did it pay off? Oh, yes, precious, it did, to the tune of $264 million. Whee!
Whoa.
That means we get to see the Valerian movie. Oh. Isn't it nice when you can actually see things? Luc Besson thought so, which is why everything, especially the action scenes, are so well lit. He was tired of the dark, dingy atmospheres most sci-fi films of the times had.
He wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't. While it is true that all the notes sung by soprano in Milla were real, it is also true that the ultra-quick section of the Pavel Laguna's aria were digitized notes she sung, cut quickly together.
Yeah.
The idea for this movie came to Luc Besson when he was only 16 and a lonely high school student.
Oh,
it would take him.
I'm sad.
I'm sad too, but I made a movie. It would. I'm sure he sounds just like that, even though he's French.
Flawless.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm so sad to make a movie. It would take him 22 years to see his story on the big screen.
Wow.
Now, why would you choose taxi driver as the occupation of your hero? Well, because Besson's dad was a taxi driver. That's why. And
so it has nothing at all to do with maybe him seeing the movie Heavy Metal 16 years before?
Well, Heavy Metal, and also it would have been The Cartoonist, which we're going to get to. There's a lot going on in this movie, almost enough for 3 movies, which was the original plan. Besson condensed it all down to fit into just this one. Gary Oldman.
You paying attention, Peter Jackson?
To be fair,
I'm looking at you, Hobbit.
No, don't look at The Hobbit. Don't look at The Hobbit. Great book, lousy films. Gary Oldman based his performance of Zorg on that of 2 real-life characters, Ross Perot and Bugs Bunny.
Okay, I can absolutely see both of those. Yep.
Just 4 years.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I want the stones.
Speaking of Oldman, he only did this film as a favor for his friend Besson, as Besson had given him money to direct a film called Nil by Mouth, which I've never heard of. I don't know if you've had. Turns out Oldman's not a fan of the film, stating, quote, "Oh no, I can't bear it," end quote. Chris Tucker, Bruce Willis, and Milla Jovovich, however, have all stated that they had a lot of fun making it. This film opened the 1997 Cannes Film Festival.
Oh.
So there.
Dang.
Sometimes you pay for art, sometimes you don't. One of the big inspirations for the look of this film was the work of cartoonist Jean-Claude Mézières. Besson loved his work and offered to pay him for the inspiration. A lot of people think that George Lucas loved his work too, and that he was also heavily inspired by it for Star Wars. The big difference is that he didn't pay for it. No. The cartoonist is best known for his graphic novel series, Valerian.
Oh.
Yeah, which apparently is very popular in Europe. But
he's a genius in France.
He is. We don't usually go into these things, but the original choice for Corbin Dallas was Jean Reno. That would have been interesting.
That would have been a very different movie.
Yes and no. It would have been a very different... I just love Jean Reno. I'll watch him in anything.
Oh, he's awesome.
He could sell coffee and I'd watch him. I don't care.
Yeah.
Even though they are working diametrically opposed to each other, hero Corbin Dallas and villain Zorg never appear together on screen and never interact. Yeah. And
true.
Likely a good deal more. I'm hoping Max might have a snippet or two so I can hold off trying to encapsulate this plot for a few more minutes, Max.
Well, I still don't get the parallels between Corbin Dallas and Harry Canyon from the movie Heavy Metal, which came out in '81. See our entire episode on heavy metal.
Yeah.
You know, cab driver, his cab can fly, has advanced weapons, obviously has military experience. Beautiful woman just sort of falls in his lap. It's coincidence?
Yeah, I remember there being a Taxi Driver comic in Heavy Metal, and I don't remember if that was Mézières or not. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise if it was him. Then it's, of course, that makes sense because he did stuff for this movie. He was paid for it. Unlike,
I mean, it also could be the comic book Heavy Metal was very popular in Europe, and Besson probably grew up reading it.
I definitely did,
so there's some maybe unintentional.
But of course, in Europe, it is Métal Hurlant.
Aha, oui. I did that thing.
Which is technically screaming metal, but yeah.
That works too, actually.
Do you know anything else so I can put off doing the recap?
No. Oh. Give us the plot, Mike.
How much time do you have?
Hang on. I'm going to just get my weighted blanket on. Go ahead.
Weighted blanket. That would sound like a torture to me. It's like, I can't get out of bed. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. All right. The plot. It's 1914, and we're in Egypt, and some professor of something has just discovered Luke Perry. Well, no, he's discovered some ancient temple and is deciphering...
And he's trying to bury him again?
No. He's discovered some ancient temple and is deciphering a story about these elements coming together to defeat evil. Seems there's 5 of them. What's it all mean? No time for that. Aziz! Light! Some space aliens land and come to take these elements away, stating that they're no longer safe being kept on Earth. The aliens will be back in 300 years when the evil, whatever it is, will return. And with that, they're gone, and we're thrust ahead 300 years into the future. Seems there's this thing on the edge of federated space, and bullets won't stop it! This must be the evil written about in the temple. And it has agents that are looking for the returning aliens and the magic stones they're carrying. Just as said aliens make it into safe space, they're set upon by other aliens in league with the giant ball of space evil. Oh, noes! Everyone's perished. Well, not everyone. There's a hand left, and that's enough to regrow some kind of amazing human, not human being. A perfect being. When she awakens, conveniently naked, she freaks out, breaks through the lab, and leaps out into flying traffic of New York, landing squarely in the back seat of a cab driven by Corbin Dallas, our hero. And after a lot of back and forth, Dallas takes her to a priest that's supposed to know what's going on. And he does. She's there to save them all against the impending evil thing. But they have to get the missing stones that weren't on that ship that was shot down. Someone else has them. So now they have to go to the beach planet and meet with the alien opera singer to get the stones that, together with this perfect being, can put a stop to the flaming evil space ball. With the agents of evil, TM, hot on their trail, can our heroes make it back to the ancient temple in time? Is this recreated alien really the fifth element, or is it something else altogether? And did I leave a whole lot out? You bet I did. This is only an hour show.
The film. Wow, well, you crammed a lot in there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to be a little bit more detail-driven because it matters, and I was like, no, I can
You'd be here for the whole show.
I can leave out half the cast, and it won't matter for the recap.
Yep.
Let's see, how short is it on... Oh, or I could go with IMDb's, which is literally, in the colorful future, a cab driver unwittingly becomes the central figure in the search for a legendary cosmic weapon to keep evil and Mr. Zorg at bay. Why did you even mention Zorg? Because, like, you'll know who that is, but whatever. So, usual question, Max. Did you see this when it came out?
Yes, I did. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah. Do you remember if you liked it or not?
I remember thinking, huh? I liked it, but it reminded me of Buckaroo Banzai in that everything happens really, really fast, and it's really a lot better if you don't pay too much attention.
Huh. I did see it in the theater when it came out, but I suffered from the too many people telling me how wonderful it is before I see it syndrome.
Oh, that's a problem.
And by the time I got to see it, I was like, big deal. And I didn't really enjoy it very much.
Huh.
And then I saw it again, and I was like, well, and then I saw it again, and I was like, huh. And then I saw it again. So my opinion of this film has changed a lot from my initial viewing. How about you? Have you seen it more than once?
I have. I've seen it a couple of times. Well, I guess I've enjoyed it in the past. But I haven't seen it in quite a while.
But you trust it as a mother. I can't even remember
but
what that was for.
We'll see about the future, which is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives.
Whatever, Chris. Let's get to the cast here, because we've got some pretty big names here.
We do.
Let's start off with old Bruce Willis. How do you generally feel about Bruce Willis?
The less hair he has, the better job he does in a movie.
But here's the thing. In this film, he's got a fair amount of hair, and they've dyed it.
He does.
They've made it blonde for...
He does, but his acting is not a big part of this. Nobody's is, really.
I disagree. We'll get there.
Well, all right. I think he's fine. He's good as a sort of, a proto-grizzled old man, except he's not old. And, I buy him as former military. I certainly buy him as a cab driver.
Yeah.
I think he does. I think he's fine.
I think
Luke, but I do think Leon would have been better.
I just love Jean Reno. I don't know. I'd watch him in any. I even liked him in Godzilla, and that was a horror 1999. And the film otherwise was horrible, but I mean, I'll watch him in anything. I actually don't like Bruce Willis in general. He's too smarmy and he's too action hero-y guy. But in this film, he's actually toned himself down just enough, because this is an action movie. It's got a science fiction-ish background, but let's face it, it's an action film. Yeah. I think he's actiony enough, but he's not overbearingly smarmy like he usually is. And this would definitely help his performance in upcoming films, or actually previous films like Hudson Hawk. See, he learned something. I actually, this is one of the few films in which I like Bruce Willis, and I think he does a fun job.
Okay.
Milla Jovovich. Sorry. Milla Jovovich. I can't seem to start my car this morning. Milla Jovovich is Lilu.
Yeah. She looks good in thermal bandages.
I think she's outstanding. I totally buy her fake language, which she and Luc Besson made up and actually spoke to each other in, composed letters in, and would constantly converse in so they could speak it. But I love her mix of... I'm utterly have no idea what's going on and where I am and how did I die and come back, and I'm going to rip your throat out with my hand.
I do kind of like the combination of innocence and wisdom that she has.
Yeah.
And I got to say, she does much better emoting in this movie than just about anything I've ever seen her in.
I think she's having
Which
the
is
most
not
fun.
saying a lot, because that's mostly things like Dazed and Confused and the Resident Evil movies.
I totally forgot she was in that. I didn't see her when she played Joan of Arc. I don't know how much she emoted. She would have.
I didn't see that either. I didn't hear great things.
I think she's a lot of fun, and I think she's having a lot of fun, and I think it shows.
She has really good physicality in this.
Yes.
I mean, the way she just leaps and bounds, and yet then the way she'll curl up in a little ball looking like a child.
Well, but
it's very impressive, I gotta say. This is probably the only movie she's ever been in I was impressed by.
When she first shows up and she's in that little tube that she breaks out of, that we unfortunately see the broken glass before she hits it. She's down and it's like she's folding herself into like origami and she's about ready to pounce and like things are about to get bad. And she goes instantly from confused and trapped animal to, now I'll just rip your throat out. So I think she's a lot of fun. Gary Oldman.
I know, you'd watch him read the phone book.
I would, and I think he's actually one of the funnier. Everybody gets a little comedic moment in this film, and I think as menacing as he is, he's one of the funnier parts of this film. Ross Perot and Bugs Bunny sounds great. Do some more.
He is. Zorg is basically a cartoon.
Yeah.
And he plays him like it, and you utterly buy him as it.
The only thing I feel bad about is that he spends most of the film alone. He gets to do a scene with Tricky and a scene with Ian Holm, and that's kind of it. Otherwise, he's just zorging by himself, which is kind of too bad. But, you know, he said he just did it as a favor. So, I'll watch Gary Oldman do anything. Everything from Sid and Nancy to Slow Horses. Dear gods, that man has got a range.
Yep.
Ian Holm as Vito
Father Bilbo
Cornelius.
Baggins.
I now realize why they chose him. I chose him why they chose him for Bilbo Baggins, because that scene with him and Bruce Willis, it's like, hi, Dad. I mean,
well, he is only 3 feet tall,
apparently,
but he's the bravest little hobbit of them all.
Is he really that short? Because he looks.
He's not that short. Bruce Willis is actually fairly tall.
Yeah, but he literally looks like he's 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Vito Cornelius is fine. It's not.
He doesn't have much to do.
No, but I think he's having a good time, too. And if you can have a good time making a film, that's good. Chris Tucker.
This is my favorite Chris Tucker movie.
I think, honestly,
I've seen him in a bunch of things. I think this is the best.
He is just short of being the star of this movie.
And talk about another one who's acting like a cartoon and pulling it off. This is the movie where that crazy-ass, high-pitched voice, lightning-fast delivery works beautifully.
Yeah.
This is another character I cannot imagine anyone else playing him.
Apparently, he didn't know how he was supposed to play the character. It wasn't until he saw the costumes and got into them. It was like, oh, I can figure something out from these. He's an absolute joy in this film, especially when he starts off being this. I don't know. You can't say like rock jock or
no, it's like a diva.
Yeah, I guess. But he's this radio show host that broadcasts galactically every day from 5 to 7. Although you can't understand half of what he says.
And he has like 50 billion listeners. I thought he's kind of like if you took Howard Stern and filled him full of estrogen and speed.
And helium.
His
screams are absolutely delicious.
They really are. I mean, he puts so much into that. What amazes me is he doesn't rip out his vocal cords. Because he'll like shriek really powerfully, really loudly, and then go right into talking.
Yeah. He's a delight. I absolutely adore him.
He's so much fun. And there is a guy who is like, didn't leave anything on the field. He threw himself into this completely.
And thank you. Luke Perry
is in this.
And he's Luke Perry.
He certainly is. I don't know why he's in this, but okay.
What was that show he was in he was really
21
big?
Oh no, 90210.
That's right. So he was mostly known for being Luke Perry and being handsome.
Yeah.
And I think that this is really just about the amount of Luke Perry we need.
Yeah.
So he's fine.
Be sure to spay and neuter your Luke Perry.
Brian James, who I love and mostly know from Blade Runner. And
Wake Up, Time to Die.
Yeah. It's not a big part, but I think he's fun.
Yeah, he is. And his byplay with Bruce Willis is good.
Yeah. Tom Lister Jr., who is listed as
Tiny Lister.
Lister Jr., plays the president. He's fine. Not a big part.
I think he does. I kind of like him in this because almost always Tom Lister always plays these big, terrifying heavies because, he's an enormous, intimidating, muscly guy. And here he's playing the president of Earth or something.
Or the Federation. We never do find out.
Yeah, he's just the president.
Isn't he the inventor of the Fister Lister Tister? I'm pretty sure he
Yes,
is.
and
Yeah.
he's the cousin of Kit Fisto.
Yeah, then we start getting...
I think he does a nice job in a kind of part that he doesn't usually do.
Yeah, cool. I don't know him from anything else, but that's fine. Lee Evans as Fogg. Okay, great. He was in there.
He existed.
I don't know who Fogg was, but that's fine.
Yeah, Charlie Creed Miles.
As David, I think he's actually fun and as a great counter to Ian Holmes Cornelius. Nerd boy, and he has a little nerd hat and everything. Tricky, whom I did not know from anything. Turns out Tricky's actually mostly known as being a musician. I actually bought a couple.
He's a composer.
I bought a couple of his albums. It's very trip hop. I really like the stuff.
Okay.
Tricky's easy on the eye. If he wants to play more roles where he doesn't wear a shirt and just a leather jacket, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But he's there for 5 seconds, which, and when he's there, he's good, but it's just not a big part. Totally did not recognize John Neville as General Statert, but there's somebody from a Terry Gilliam film that probably doesn't...
Yeah, that's Baron Munchausen. Yeah. It's also, by the way, from the X-Files, he's the well-manicured man.
Oh, is he?
Yes, he is. I had to look him up because I was like, every time I see him in this movie, it's like, who is that guy? I know who that is.
He's less British in the X-File, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He does a very good American accent.
And then there's a bunch of people, but let's face it, the standout performance of the entire film is Julie T. Wallace as Major Iceborg.
Oh, she's great. Does she even say anything?
No.
Doesn't she just nod? Yes.
I think she just nods.
That's right. Major Iceborg will be your wife. Nod.
Yes. And then she goes...
All I can expect her to say is, Svimver, very nice.
I still can't remember what that was a commercial for, and I don't care.
I
know, right?
Bud Light?
Doesn't matter. All that matters is the quote, and that it's a deeper.
Yep.
So we have a cast here of people, some of them playing to part, which, like Bruce Willis, is mostly Bruce Willis, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, will never return to anything like this again, and Chris Tucker, who is absolutely running away with every scene he's in, and good for him. So, yeah, pretty good cast.
Yeah. Good cast.
Something happens early in this film that is generally, at least for me in the past, is a warning sign, a red light going off, and that's when they use the film's title in the film.
Oh.
Yeah, because we talk about the fifth element, and, they keep alluding to it's going to be a guy, which, to throw us off, which is fine. But the other thing that popped up early in the movie that made me go, is grappa. Have you ever had grappa, Max?
I have not. What's it like?
Have you ever cleaned a paintbrush?
I have. I didn't drink it, though.
If I remember correctly, what they do is after they press the grapes for wine, there's all
is this the resin?
No, it's all the skins and stuff that's left. They press that and make highly, highly alcoholic beverages out of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't age or anything. They just and it's mostly old men drink it, and it's apparently dreadful. So I don't know what that was doing there. What do you think about the design in this film? Because there's a lot of heavy art design, art direction, costume design. What do you think about that?
Visually, I think it's really cool. It's very busy. I mean, sometimes it's kind of overwhelming, and I think you miss some stuff because they cram an awful lot in. But it's a fun vision of the future.
Like, what do you think you miss? Like, what do you think it detracts from?
A lot of the characters, when they're like going into when they first end up in Floston Paradise, which I'm sure is a play on phlogiston.
What's that?
Phlogiston is an old alchemical concept, a discredited scientific theory that when you burn something, you release this hypercombustible stuff called phlogiston, which burns at 100% efficiency.
What?
That's why things burn.
Well,
yeah.
Why do you think that has anything to do with a beach planet?
Because it's spelled almost exactly the same way.
Oh. I would love it if anyone would write it and refute that, because I don't, whatever. Anyway, so you think it takes away from, in what way?
Well, all of the costumes and all the people, I was like, I want to see the setting. I want to see the tech level in this place is very confusing.
Yes.
Things like, wow, you can regrow an entire human from a dead arm. But I swear at some point someone's using a typewriter.
Well, there's also CRTs, which...
Yes.
Yeah.
No flat screens. Big old clunky switches.
Yeah.
Internal combustion engines, apparently.
Where?
In the cab.
Why do you think it's an internal combustion engine?
Because it keeps smoking.
It got smoky because it got shot.
I
Luckily,
just
it's
assume.
bulletproof, though. That's certainly a feature I want in my flying cabs of the future.
Hey, in New York, yeah, I would too.
Well, luckily, only the bad New York, that's all below the fog. So,
yeah.
because for me, there's a lot of. I'm not generally a fan of quote unquote world building. And the reason I'm not generally a fan of it is because a lot of people have taken it to a level where they really want you to pay attention to their world building. I've done this world building. It's like, I don't care about that. I want a story. I want characters. It's nice that you have this in the back of your head. I don't need to read the third book of The Prince of Kreplakistan from 3 centuries before the story takes place. It doesn't matter to me. I actually like a lot of the details in here that are thrown in that they never explain and don't matter, like the garbage in the airport. I think that's a neat detail that's interesting without taking away from what's going on.
I like the little things. I like when they're in his apartment. I like how he's trying to quit. And we also see Ruby Rhod doing the same thing with a cigarette that's 75% filter.
Yeah. Bet those taste good. Do you actually get any smoke at that point? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But I bet it's really great for your lungs. You must have really strong lungs sucking it through like a mattress, because that's kind of what
I like the fact that he has a cat.
Yeah, well,
and
of
a
course.
really goofy-looking cat.
It's a little cross-eyed.
Yep,
and they keep doing close-ups on it, and it's like,
Some of the techno babble I wish they'd focused on, because I didn't. Every so often I catch something when they're putting Lilu back together.
Yeah.
One of the signs at first, yes, we're bombarding her with slightly greasy solar atoms. Like, okay, what the hell does that mean?
That's sunlight that has been coated with Pam. Don't you know that? You just spray it into the sun and it coats the little particles, the particles, the actual particles of sunlight from which you can make an explosive.
You mean solaranite?
Or solar ignite. Or is it solar benite? We don't know. We're getting perilously close to Robot Monster. Well, every film is connected to Robot Monster in some way.
Absolutely.
I also like his little efficiency apartment where everything is sort of folded up into something else, like the refrigerator and the shower take up the same space. The bed not only makes itself, but wraps itself for freshness.
And yet, despite the fact this is the size of a large closet, he hides 5 people in it.
Yeah. Well, 3, but yeah.
No, 5. He hides the 3 soldiers.
I think meant the fridge.
And Cornelius.
Yeah. It makes sense, though, because that's the kind of apartment that you could buy today in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like anyone could afford that.
Yeah. I love the fact that you can get takeout flown to your window. I think that's really neat. I don't wonder how that poor guy makes money, because it's like it takes him a half an hour to feed Bruce Willis, and then what? Yeah. That's $10, which he didn't make, so whatever. I like the design. There's the 2 big people were the cartoonist I mentioned before, and Mobius is a big design. He actually did a bunch of design. And there's some shots in the film, like when the Mondo Chi one ship takes off in the beginning, that's right out of a Mobius cartoon. Even with the little streaks, it's like it is dead on perfect. And let's face it, there's a lot to draw on, because the graphic novel has long been considered an actual art form in Europe, unlike the way it is here, where it's still mostly considered comics are for kids. Which, take a look, folks. There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
So I think they've taken the best of that kind of stuff, and really, it's one of the better comic adaptations that's not a comic adaptations I think I've ever seen for design.
It does have a real comic book feel.
Yeah. And the characters are very, very interestingly attired. In some cases, to the point of fetishism.
Yeah.
But it's nice that it's on both sides of the fence. Every single woman is sexualized, but most of the men are too. They're just wearing more than the women. So
a lot of them have very V-neck, very deep V-necks. They show up a lot of chest.
Or they're not wearing shirts at all, or they've been bulked up and they're wearing tight lycra tops and rubber shorts.
Or they're wearing whatever the hell Ruby Rhod is wearing.
Whatever he's wearing, because, I don't even know how he gets into that thing, that leopard skin.
I think they had to paint it on him.
And I keep waiting for him to start shooting ping pong balls out his hair.
Yeah, he does have kind of a shotgun mic / cannon hair there.
Well, it's got a hole in it. It's got to be for maybe he can keep his lunch up there. I don't know. He eats hard-boiled eggs. Who knows? So, yeah, I think that the design is actually a major player in this film, and one of the reasons it's works, especially when we get characters like Plava Laguna. I mean, if she's not out of a comic, I don't know where she's from.
Yeah. The design of the diva, she's awesome.
Yeah.
And the singing also, I really like the way the music changes. She starts off, she's doing classical opera. Mm-hmm. I think it literally is an aria from something.
It was. I looked it up, but I'd never heard of the opera. It was a more modern opera, but yeah.
Then it shifts into this weird, just tone poetry practically, which, as you said, was digitized because it would have had to be. The human voice can't do that.
Well, apparently she said that to them. She's like, you realize nobody can sing this fast. It's impossible. And they're like, don't worry, just sing a note. We'll fix it later. So,
which actually makes perfect sense, you know? She's not human.
Well, she can't be. And I don't know how she makes sound because there ain't no room inside for her for lungs.
Yeah.
There's just, that was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We know how we hear Mr. Shadow speak to Zorg?
Yes, briefly.
He's sort of the voice. Do you think Mr. Shadow suffers without his stones?
It wasn't Malkovich, was it?
No.
Oh, thank God.
But that was all I could think.
Oh. So let's talk about the villain in this film, Mr. Shadow, and his plan for World Dama something.
He's not there to dominate. He's there to destroy.
Okay, why?
'Cause he's evil.
Oh, apparently he does this every 5,000 years.
Right. 'Cause of evil. I don't know. We don't know anything about this guy. Zilch. All we know is his big planet world thing looks an awful lot like the Apocalypse planet from the Dark Side lives on in the DC comics.
Well, now that's an interesting interpretation. You're interpreting it as there's a guy in this planet. I'm interpreting it as the planet is the guy.
It may very well be. Yeah, we don't know. It's very subjective, which is okay, because quite honestly, the villain isn't the interesting part.
No.
At least he isn't.
No.
Zorg is more fun.
Yeah,
and he's obviously the one we're supposed to focus on. He's the cat's paw or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, one of the worst episodes of Star Trek. Now, if you don't do what Mr. Shadow says, he's going to drip chocolate sauce on your forehead. So you better be careful.
Yeah, Zorg and General Stedman are both Giulianiing all over the place.
Giulianiing?
Oh, it's a famed thing of like a year or two ago.
Oh, because of his hair.
And he had that weird brown hair dye leaking down the side. That's, to me, that's the first thing I thought of. Other than that, I thought, someone spilled the Hershey syrup.
Yeah, just like when Henry Blake was trying to impress that 20-year-old. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or when Ted decided to dye
his
hair.
Color, Rhoda. I'm actually an older man.
I shouldn't wear cheap hats in the rain. Yeah. It's very strange that we have a undefined villain with more or less undefined goals. Okay, he wants to kill everyone in the way of him killing everyone. The weird thing I find about this is that the galaxy of aliens and friends and family are all like trying to help out with this, but the only planet that actually seems to be mentioned or threatened is Earth. Man. And it's also the only planet that doesn't seem to know what's going on, right?
Yeah, the turtle people don't explain anything.
Yeah, but they're like,
whatever you call them.
The Mondo Shiwan. We'll be back in 300 years when we're supposed to be, because we've been dealing with this for a long time. All right, why are we dealing with it? Like, what does it have to... I don't know. Mm-hmm. It is amazing how little that matters. Because usually we get uptight about undefined villains with undefined goals and like, well, why are you doing this? What's the point? What are you getting out of this? And the answer is, I kill things, I guess. Although, yeah.
I'm murder guy. That's what I do.
Yeah, when they defeat it, though, I got to say, 62 miles is awfully close for another moon. Like, you could drive there.
Yeah, pretty much. You can throw things at it.
And I have to wonder...
And what is that going to do to the tides and everything?
Well, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, how much gravity does it have? Because if it don't have a lot of gravity, it's not going to stay at 62 miles very long.
No.
They might want to have that removed. Just saying. So... There were a couple of things that I noticed when I was doing research online, and something that didn't stand out to me, mostly because I think I'm so numb to it, is that almost all the male characters are shown as being ineffectual in some way, except Corbin Dallas. And of course, he represents the old standard for he-men and the like.
He's the most masculine of all of them. He's the most butch, really.
Yeah. How do you think that affects the tone of the film? Like, do you think he's trying to say something there, or?
I don't know. I think he's just trying to think, here you are, here's your standard tough guy hero. But again, at the end, he is melted by the power of love.
Yeah, I guarantee after the first week of marriage, he forgets to bring home food.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. And again, he's also the traditional man in some of the bad ways. He kisses her when she's unconscious, and she quite rightly sticks a gun in his face. That part is creepy. That part is, again, very toxic male.
Yeah.
And he's very much a 90s action hero.
Very.
And maybe Besson is making a little, jab at that, but...
That's what gets the job done. Every other guy in the film, in some way, even Zorg has got a limp for that, and everybody else is either goofy or nerdy or short or whatever and can't get anything done. Even the president...
And there's none of the major bad guys can stand up to Dallas in a fist fight.
No, not that he ever meets them. Because for some reason this film says, nope, the hero and the villain shall never meet. We're not doing it. So, which is
just
weird.
miss each other in the elevator.
Yeah. I think there's literally two frames where part of each of them is on screen, but it's like you can't even see it.
What do you think of the dialogue?
I think it fits the film. I think in places, Ruby Rhod I can't really comment on because I can't understand. I've listened to this film many times and I can't make out half of what he's saying. He's saying it too fast. I believe he is not missing a line. I just can't understand it. It's a comic in its a way. It's a superhero comic in a way, and I think it works fine. I'm guessing you don't.
No, I do. I think there's a lot. That's one of the reasons it's so quotable. And I like a lot of Zorg's lines. I still like when there's that strange scene with him and Ian Holm.
Right.
Where Holmes saves him from choking to death on a cherry.
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% sure why that's in the movie, apart from the fact that it gets two brilliant English actors to act in the same scene. But I do like the last line where he just looks at him and very matter-of-factly says, "You're a monster, Zorg." And Zorg just looks at him and goes, "I know."
Yeah. It also brings up the question of what that little elephant trunked thing in Zorg's desk is. I do not want to know why that's there.
I don't need to know. I'm sure it's for something vile.
I am sure too, and I don't like it. It makes me hurt.
Yep. There's another line I don't understand.
Okay.
And that is when the police come and they're all looking in on everybody's apartments at Corbin Dallas's building. Say, "Are you classified as human?" "Negative. I am a meat popsicle." What the hell does that mean?
I just think it's a smart-ass answer. But did that scene remind you of a scene from another movie that's been on this show?
Not off the top of my head.
I think it gets echoed a bit in Minority Report because we have a very similar scene. I mean, that's it.
True.
I think he's just being a smart-ass, and I think he thinks he's going to get caught. Although, for what I don't know, the only thing he's done is wreck his cab.
Just he says it so seriously.
He also has run away with Milla Jovovich.
Yeah. I also like when he gets mugged. The guy wearing the picture of the hallway as a hat. Just actually fairly clever.
That guy's funny. I like him. Matthew Kasovitz.
Yeah, it's a good thing that isn't loaded. What? It's like the little, you got to push the little yellow button. The guy can't. Do you want me to push it for you?
No. I love the fact that I think he literally just told him how to turn the gun off.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
that's another Harry Canyon thing. He has this collection of guns he's obviously taken from people.
And I wish I could have found out if that was the same cartoonist, because if it was, it would make total sense. It wouldn't surprise me. But so I talked about the male side of the film. What about the other side? Because the women are all sexualized, and few of them have anything to do.
Yeah, I mean, apart from Lilu, we got a lot of sexed up flight attendants.
Yes,
and those costumes.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess there's Major Iceborg, but
would you like to see the top of my boobs? Here they are. Okay, yeah, I mean that's the HR dress right there. That's what that is.
Yeah.
The thing I have, because we have the perfect being, the I forget what she calls herself, the supreme being, until that she eventually needs to be rescued. And we want to make a case for a strong women character in this film, but we kind of can't. because
Yeah, it does get undercut.
how do you think that affects the tone of the film?
Honestly, I think it lessens it for me. I liked the idea that, okay, I mean, even when she says, I will protect you, it's like, okay, that's a nice touch. Here's this fragile-looking woman who desperately needs a sandwich, and she's going to protect big, tough He-Man.
Big Jim Slade.
Yeah, Big Jim Slade. Yeah,
The capital of Nebraska is Lincoln.
And then it's like, oh, no, I'm wounded. I need you to come carry. You have to carry me around a lot, first of all, which he does quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like, no, I can't do it unless, it turns out you love me.
Well, now, this just occurred to me while we were talking about this, and both of us really prefer strong women characters when we can get them, which is not often enough. What if that scene had played differently? Instead of her being fragile and having to be rescued, what if he gets a hold of her from the ship, they take off, and she's pissed? Because she, for the same reason. It's like, why should I save life when I see what humans do with it? And what if they get to the temple, they figure out all the stones, and she's standing in the middle of that temple with her arms crossed, and he comes to her and says, now we need you to do what you need to do. And she just goes, why? Convince me. That could have been. I think
that would have been a lot more interesting.
Don't you think? I think that could have worked really well, because then it would have had to have been him that basically drops his defenses and said, okay, I have to admit it. Yes, I love you. And he has to, put on his man panties or his man bra or whatever and woman up, which is not even the right term for this. I think that could have worked really well if she had remained a strong character throughout the film and basically said, no, I'm not doing this because you all are just going to kill yourselves anyway. What's the point? Give me a reason.
Yeah.
But that just occurred to me.
I agree. I think that would have been a much better ending.
Well, speaking of endings, at that time according to the clock on the wall and that clock on the wall. So we should get to the part where we decide. We've kind of bashed on it at the end. Do we actually like Julie T. O'Malley's suggestion of Fifth Element or not?
The finish.
So Max.
Yeah.
You saw it when it came out. You were like,
yep.
Huh?
Yeah.
And you've seen it once or twice and you just watched it for the show, I assume.
Yep.
What do you think of The Fifth Element?
I think it's a lot of fun. You can't, if you don't think about it too hard, which clearly you're not supposed to, it's a great ride. It looks fun. It's got a lot of quotable lines. We're still talking around going, multi-pass.
More chicken.
Or people were saying for years going around going, Corbin, my man, Corbin, my man. I remember being at a party and someone wanted to light candles and they kept going around going, Corbin, my man, I have no fire. I have no fire.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. Again, I think you're right. I think the ending weakens it. I don't think the ending is as strong as the rest of it. But I think the performances are fine. I think Bruce Willis they cast him well. He's being, his standard hero guy. And he didn't need to do more than that. I think Milla Jovovich, this is probably the best thing I've ever seen her do. Gary Oldman, he's a cartoon, but he's fun. Chris Tucker, his best work ever. I'm sorry. He will never top this.
Apparently he does stand-up too.
Yeah, and Father Bilbo Baggins, I think, does a nice job.
So you would recommend it?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Especially if you don't want to take your brain out of first gear. What about you? You've seen this many times, I think.
Yeah, as I said, the first time I saw it, it was too many people telling me how great it was, and I saw it, and I was like, I was really meh about the film. And I don't remember why I rewatched it, because usually meh means I'm never going to see this again. But how many times have I seen this? I don't know. 10, 11? I mean, it's getting up there. I will also say, even if you don't feel like watching it, this is the perfect film to have on in the background when you're doing other things. Because if you miss a little bit here and there, it really doesn't matter. Watching this film again, what surprised me is how slow it is. I remember it being a very fast-paced film, and it isn't. For one thing, it's over 2 hours long. But it's not a very fast-paced film. It, in places, feels that way. We don't linger a lot of places, but it's not as fast as I remembered it, and it's fine. I don't think it's slow. It's just, I thought it was like boom, boom, boom. I also thought it was like Tank Girl, or at least the Tank Girl, the animated parts. But it isn't. I do wish that we had a different ending. That being said, I'm a sucker for it, and it kind of almost makes me cry because it's nice. I love some of the performances. I think Chris Tucker is freaking hilarious. I love Gary Oldman and everything. I think it's one of those films you can rewatch. It doesn't even have to be that long because it's fun. And if you don't watch the whole thing, that's fine. You'll pick it up next time. So yeah, I would totally recommend this film. I definitely think it's something. If you somehow haven't seen it, you probably know something about it anyway. Just go ahead and sit and watch it. It's a lot of fun. And hey, if you want to have a little drinking game or a little wheedly deedly while you're watching it, all the better. Why not?
Yep, that would work.
What else is all the better is our poll question, and hopefully you folks answering it. That's what makes the best part about the poll question. We would like to know this week, what is your favorite science fiction film and why? And how can you let us know? Well, currently you can still let us know on Facebook, and I don't think that we're going to go anywhere, but y'all are apparently going somewhere, so let us know where you're going, would you? We want to play too.
Yeah, can we come?
Yeah. So Facebook, we are Max Mike Movies, big surprise. We're also on Blueski. Currently we don't have any followers there except me, don't we?
No, we got about 3, 4.
Oh, well, it's almost as many listeners as well.
Yeah.
So Blue Sky or Blueski, you can go ahead and find us as Max Mike Movies. We'll go ahead and leave comments there. You could email us directly at maxmikemovies.com. And hey, if you're somebody who's pretending to know our show and offer us to make thousands of dollars a week, sure, by all means, go ahead and go ahead and send us email, us at maxmikemovies.com.
Yeah, because we get lots of downloads.
And actually, hey, if you're a third, fourth, fifth-rate movie production company, and you would like to see if we would mention your movie on our show, by all means, contact us. It's been a while.
We will totally do it.
And we have
the producer.
Have we not mentioned Deep House and Rogue Warfare 3? Haven't we?
Many times.
And how much did we get for that?
Do so.
Nothing.
Bupkis.
Now, we may not have been exactly complimentary about your film.
Well,
hey, we'd love to hear from you, production companies, because we're a show. Also, you can go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, where we have all of our episodes, all of our series, all laid out so you can pick a series, pick an episode, leave a comment, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, give us ideas. Heck, this entire series is all because of you.
All your fault.
And speaking of your fault, Max, whose fault is next week?
Next week is, of course, Mighty Dave.
That's enough Daves.
Yes, and we are going to watch a cheery, uplifting comedy, The Death of Stalin.
What?
Yep, The Death of Stalin. I know, I didn't even know he was sick.
Oh, did he at least make the movie run on time?
That's Mussolini, but no.
Well, hopefully we'll be on time next week with The Death of Stalin.
Right now, I'm leaving. Zzz! This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.